and welcome everyone to this week's episode of Assumption Get Loud with your mental health team here at Assumption. Ms. Browne, who's our social worker, Ms. Misener, our CYC, and me, of course, Ms. Rerecich, the chaplain. And as we do every week, we do a check-in just to see how everyone's doing. So how are you guys doing?
Am I going to log in or you? I'm doing great. Rolling into the groove of September, just in time for October, getting ready for Halloween. That's me. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Making sure I get my water.
Yes, I've got my water bottles too. I'm still finishing my coffee though. How are you, Miss Browne?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's it's gonna be October, so fall season. So it's just, as the seasons change, I make new goals for myself. So as the seasons change from summer to October, I'm making my goals and a list.
So what kind of goals and lists do you make for yourself?
Just in terms of self-care, in terms of, accomplishments that I want to do, whether I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm always trying to take different courses to just to kind of provide myself with more knowledge. Knowledge is power. So I love to learn.
Yes.
So, just kind of figuring out what courses I want to take, and just kind of figuring out and making time for my self-care, more so than ever now that the seasons are changing, right? So the days are much shorter and it's getting colder. And so just making sure that I'm able to practice my self-care.
Yes. Speaking of different goals and self-care, I'm very much affected by the less daylight that we're entering into. So I'm kind of bracing myself. Mm-hmm. Even just walking my dog last night, coming home at like 7:15, it felt so much later. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And because it's already, dusk and getting dark. And so I'm bracing myself for, okay, what do I need? And I may be investing in one of those daylight lamps.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
Yes. That's right.
Because I hear that it works. So I may need one at home just to help carry me through those dark, long winter nights. Because I come alive. In the springtime, you're going to see that I just come alive. Yeah. And I'm doing okay. It is getting busy, like Miss Misener and Miss Browne. We're all settling in, and it's busy. Big thing that's a big event happening coming out of chaplaincy. So it's all in a day's work. So Miss Misener's got a great topic for us to discuss this week. So Miss Misener, take it away.
Yeah. So I've noticed with some of the students that I'm chatting with around town, stress is high. Everybody's stress is really, really high. Bottom line here, we still have a giant stressor that is looming over our heads. Mm-hmm. COVID. I don't like to talk about it too much, but it's there, whether we like it or not. So we have that stress. Then we have the stress of coming back to school. Then we have the stress of managing our relationships, our parents, our schoolwork, the list goes on and on and on. And this is the message that I'm hearing. So I thought it would be helpful to kind of have a conversation about some really easy ways to manage that stress. And more often than not, we want to attack the big stuff because that's the blaring red lights that are kind of showing up for us. And I think it's actually really helpful if we stop going for the blaring red lights and more focus on the smaller issues and kind of look at our stress management from that perspective. And that's kind of the message I've been sharing with people, but I thought maybe it would be helpful to kind of share on the platform.
Yes.
The way I think about it, simply put, is that stress, fills our plate or fills our cup, right? And if we don't manage our stress, then it overflows or the plate is too heavy, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't matter what we take off the plate, it's still going to get lighter. It doesn't matter what we empty out of the cup. It's still going to lessen the liquid in it, right? So why don't we just attack the small things and the things that we can control, and the problems and the stressors that are little, like I'm feeling tired. That's a stressor. Yeah, I can manage that. I can go to bed an hour earlier. That's not a tough one to manage. It's going to make us feel better. I'm feeling stressed out about this big thing, but I also know that I have one assignment due down here, but I'm avoiding it. And like, okay, we can do the small assignment, and that's going to take some weight off of our plate and some liquid out of our cup. So just kind of looking at it from that perspective. So no, we can't manage all of these big blaring problems all the time.
Right.
But if we can take the small stuff off our plates, it's still going to feel lighter. We're still going to feel better. You know, that's kind of what I wanted to,
It reminds me of a quote I came across last year or earlier this year, helping students, is action relieves anxiety. So we tend to worry about the big stuff, and then it kind of gives us inertia to deal with everything. But if we start acting on some of the things that we can control, then it'll relieve that anxiety, and we realize, oh, wait a second, I may not be able to control or change the big stuff, but I can manage the little things. Action relieves anxiety. Great quote. And it's something I keep thinking about. Ms. Browne, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I think, I'm honestly, everyone's personality is different. So honestly, don't sweat the small stuff, right? Like sometimes we all have, I always love this, challenging negative thoughts, right? Or challenging when things are not going so well, like putting things into perspective. Like, what's happening to me really, like right now, whether it's a thing, a person, will this matter in the next 5 years? Right?
Yes.
So why am I sweating it, right? So don't sweat the small stuff. Sometimes we got to let go, right? And focus on the stuff.
I sweat the small stuff all the time. I'm not even
control.
Yeah.
Right?
Although, I hear that, and I'm thinking, for the teenagers watching, our students, it's easy to say that as an adult because we have a bigger span of time for that perspective. Although Miss Misener is saying she sweats the small stuff all the time. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for our students who are so young, they don't have a sense of 5 years from now, right? But it's helpful to remind our students the stuff that we're stressing out over isn't going to last forever. I know it's a big thing right now for many of them, but those calculus exams that I lost sleep over and had nightmares about, it doesn't matter right now.
I hope no teachers are watching this.
I've already told some math teachers, I'm like, math and I broke up a long time ago.
Me too. That's why I'm in social work. I can't do math.
Obviously.
And just another tip too is using goal-directed thinking, right? So is this how I'm thinking right now? Is this helpful for me to achieve my goals? Right? Not so much. Yeah. Right. So and I think
Oh, would you agree then with and more and on the vein of what I was kind of suggesting, setting small goals as opposed to aiming for giant goals, right? Like today I'm going to clean my room. Yeah, I'm stressed about the fight I had with my best friend. Yeah, I'm arguing with my parents right now. Yeah, I might be, having a hard time with math and possibly failing, but I'm still going to set a goal over here that I can manage and take on because I can clean my room. I can do that.
Exactly. Change is incremental. It's baby steps. And usually changes in one area usually lends itself to changes in other areas, right? So if you can kind of create that consistency and that routine and just, setting those small goals. And sometimes like you said, some of the students aren't able to really, look towards the future to think or even think about the next 5 years, right? So some people will take it one day at a time. Some people will take it as the seasons change, right? So like I said, as the seasons change, from fall to winter to summer, what are some small goals that I want to set myself?
Yes.
For myself.
And this is important because I think we're kind of in the middle of the first quad. So I know it's a tendency to think that if the course hasn't been going well, oh, well, I'm doomed, so I'm just going to give up. it's still important to, if you can't recover the unit, you can recover today's assignments, and you can still salvage what you can.
Yeah.
And then maybe, space it over time, that if there was a unit or two that didn't go well, maybe arrange for extra help.
Exactly. All is not lost. We can't give up. There's that kind of persistence.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think, it's 30%. I'm like, okay, but you still have the rest of the 70% left, right? To make that, to increase, to improve your mark, right? So it's just like, it's just one assignment. So don't think like, it's really important to have alternative explanations. Like, okay, yes, you know what? This is a assignment I didn't do so well on, but you know what? What am I going to do differently next time? Okay, well, maybe perhaps I could have studied a bit more. So changing your, trying alternative explanations and just trying to do better, right?
And that's like the goals. So all this is calling to mind a picture I've seen. So I want to pull it up on screen. So this is a visual over things you can control. So how much sleep you get, which is what Ms. Misener was talking about. How kind you are to yourself, taking mindful breaths, your time and priorities, right? Feeding your body and treating your body well with enough rest and the proper food. So these are and saying what you need, kind of advocating for yourself. If you're tired or if you don't understand something in class, then don't be shy. If you don't want to raise your hand and ask the teacher, maybe save it for a break time or after class and say, Miss, when you were talking about this, I was lost, advocating for yourself. So I think that's a good visual to, speak to what we are talking about. And any final thoughts on any of this?
No. I mean, I think next week we should focus on those positive thoughts that Fulla was talking about, maybe.
Yes. So there we go. We have our topic for next week.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So that is our show for today. And we thank you for joining us. And you guys have a good week.
Bye.
Continue the self-care.
Leaders all the way.
Next week, guys.
Go Blue, go.